Ahoy cruise enthusiasts, oh boy, a lot of news about that particular Virgin Voyages sailing that departed from New York on April 6th and had to be diverted to St. John's, New Brunswick because of weather. The original destination was Bermuda, and a lot more has come of this than I think anybody really would have thought. All right, yes, these diversions happen all the time. I don't know why this one is such a big deal, mainly because a couple things happened. All right, so first, the couple that is making the rounds because of a TikTok or something like that they made, carrying on about the diversion. And I'm sorry, but yes, they are just as insufferable millennials or Gen Xers, no, not Gen Xers, Gen Zers, Gen Alphas. I don't know what they are. Just a young, insufferable couple. And to you, I say, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Just stop your whining. This is an incredibly first world problem. Your luxury Virgin Voyages cruise got diverted due to weather to Canada instead of Bermuda. Okay, so I looked into this, a couple things, and not that big a deal. I'm sorry, but today the temperature in St. John is 35. It's 50 in Bermuda. That's still cold. That is still very, very cold. The water temperature in St. John is 50. The water temperature in Bermuda is 70. That's still very, very cold. All right. Now, maybe to some people, 50 degrees on the beach and 70-degree water is a lovely spring treat. I'm from Miami. Okay. It might as well be the Arctic. Okay. It's still cold. So yeah, not a big deal. Also, what did you expect to happen? The reason they had to divert to Canada, two reasons. A, why they diverted was because of a broad North Atlantic low that was transiting between the continental United States and Bermuda, which means the ship could not have gone south. The same weather system that made Bermuda inaccessible meant that they also could not sail south. So there you go. Also, this girl's like, oh, why did we go to Jamaica? Honey, there's these things called maps. Maybe you should have learned about them in school. Okay. So, Bermuda is about 700 miles away from New York. St. John is a little bit less, like 500. Yes, 750 to Bermuda, 500 to St. John. So they are relatively close. In fact, it's faster to get to, St. John than Bermuda. So, it's well within range of the ship. And this was a 5-day cruise. Okay. They only had 5 days. They could not have made the 1,700-mile trip to Jamaica. That would not have been possible. That would have required 3 sailing days. In fact, most of the cruises from the New York region down to the Bahamas are at least 8 days, because there's at least 2 sea days just to get down here, and then 2 more sea days to get back. So even if they decided to go to the Bahamas, that still would have been 2 days sailing down, and then they would have maybe made port at Grand Bahama or Nassau, and then literally turned right around and spent 2 days sailing back. So yeah, in 5 days, you weren't going anywhere. All right. That was just not in the cards. And, like I said, these things happen. It's in the contract of carriage. The cruise line has the right to alter itinerary for any number of reasons. And I'm sorry, Bermuda is not a special enough destination to require any special accommodation, right? You can get on a Bermuda cruise anytime. It's not like Greenland. It's not like Antarctica or anything like that. It's just Bermuda. So get on the ship, have a good time, and, don't worry about it. In fact, they were traveling with family. So are you basically saying that you couldn't wait to get to Bermuda so you could run away from the family? I don't know. I don't know about that. So that was just not a good look for you. Yeah, and there's definitely reasons why they went to St. John. In fact, I think one of the emails from Virgin said that St. John opened early to accommodate them. So good on you, St. John, New Brunswick. If I ever have an opportunity to visit, sure, let's do it. So yeah, that's what happened with this couple. They have no case. They can whine all they want, but Virgin Voyages did nothing wrong. Okay, now let's see. Did I cover everything? Yes, I did. Okay, so the second thing that came out of this, I saw it in another video. Got a lot of views. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. But the story is that there was some guests, family, couple, I don't really know, who expected to have visa problems getting into Canada. And this was... Okay, well, first of all, the tale started off with some like weird distinction between, sailing Alaska and requirements and then sailing on the East Coast requirements or whatever. No, there's no difference sailing to Alaska versus sailing to either Canada or the Caribbean. In terms of the U.S., they're all covered under the Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative, so the documentation and requirements are the same for any closed-loop cruise in and out of the United States, whether it be Alaska, Mexico, West Coast Mexico, Canada, or the Caribbean. So there's no difference between the West Coast and the East Coast. In case you were wondering, go verify everything. But yeah, that's not the case. Also, the story was about, let's just say a Chilean couple, I don't really know, whose travel agent, fought the cruise line for a refund because they would not have been allowed to enter Canada. No, that's not the case. Chilean citizens, Chilean passport holders do have visa-free entry into Canada. The only thing that might require is an ETA if they're flying, but this would have been a cruise from the United States, so they would have been perfectly fine entering Canada visa-free on their Chilean passport. And even if they did have some issue with Canada, with all the information sharing that goes back and forth between the U.S. and Canada, if they're able to get into the U.S. to board the ship in New York, there's a 98% chance they would have had no problem getting into Canada, because you have to do something pretty serious in Canada, or it has to be a pretty serious reason for you to be deported, like Canada deports people, deported from Canada to not be let into the U.S. to catch the cruise anyway. And just like the U.S. with the WHTI, Canada has their own, what do they call it? The Marine Risk-Based Passenger Processing, which is the same reason, cruise passengers are not inspected one by one when entering Canada on a cruise ship, just like you're not inspected one by one when visiting the Bahamas or St. Thomas or the Dominican Republic on your cruise. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what the deal with that story is. I don't know why the cruise... the travel agent, fought so hard for them to get a refund, unless they just wanted to scam the cruise line, out of the fare or something like that. Which, honestly, if that was the case, if they really just, pressured the cruise line into giving a refund when they didn't really have to, I guess good on the travel agent. But no, they would have had no problem. So I'm not really sure where this story came from. I could not find any, story. There's nothing on Reddit or anywhere that describes this. So, yeah. And in this case too, Virgin Voyages did well. They shouldn't. They had nothing to apologize for. Virgin Voyages, you should have kept the money. And this Chilean couple, I'm sure they're lovely, should have gone and enjoyed their cruise instead of scamming the cruise line out of the cruise fare. So yeah, in both cases, the cruise line did absolutely nothing wrong. So I do look forward to booking a Virgin Voyages cruise in the future. Oh, if anyone's wondering, I can't find my hat. I honestly don't know where it is. So, well, you just get this. Yeah. And, well, you know what? If we end up booking the same Virgin Voyages cruise and it gets diverted, I do definitely hope to see you out of the cabin.